I'm sitting this side because it's the only side he can hear.
It's a hard life being a pauper.
Yes.
My family history. Okay, I'm from a very working class background. My dad worked in a steel factory as a storeman, and my mother worked on a fruit farm. And I kind of grew up kind of semi-wild. There were lots of gypsy kids around, and we used to go off in the woods with catapults, shooting pheasants and things.
Would you describe yourself as still being semi-wild?
Very much so.
Yeah, I thought perhaps so.
I dislike rules. In the 70s, I don't know if any of you remember, we had a thing called School Action Union, and me and a friend were kind of reported on one of the old school terrapin huts, trying to get all the school out on strike. So we made the local press at that time. So yeah, I've always been kind of pushing things to the edge, I guess. My interest in ceramics began nothing exciting like walking along a riverbank picking up shards of bellarmines or anything like that. My girlfriend and I at the time used to go to these hippie festivals, and we travelled around in a van, and in order to make some money I made clay pipes for smoking hash. And I bought my first bag of clay from Barbara Cass in Stratford-on-Avon. And then I started firing these in very simple kilns. And as a 18, 19-year-old, you know, it was quite an interesting life. And I met some very interesting people. And because of that, got me to where I am now. It was an enjoyable part of growing up and getting into ceramics in a different way, rather than kind of going through the traditional route, whatever that might be. My first kiln I built in my parents' back garden, I hadn't even looked at a book. And I sat there all night putting wood into this brick box and opened it up, and it was just like black charred clay. So I was unemployed at that point, and I went and did Art A-level. Got very much into watercolour painting. My teacher was a guy called Davy Crockett, believe it or not. But he was a wonderful artist with watercolour. And at that point I wanted to become a painter. And we came up through Derby on the A38, and I knew there was a ceramic school at Derby. So I just called in, had a nose around, and was pretty much invited straight away to get in on the course there. But, you know, with my portfolio of clay chillums, I managed to get in to the school at Derby. One project in particular that sticks out, as a first-year student, we were split into groups of 4, and there was a stream run at the top of the car park at the college, and there was a clay seam, and we were told to go and collect that clay, make a pot from that clay, make a glaze from it, and make a kiln from it. And it was such a wonderful thing to do and kind of make you think things differently. You know, a lot of students coming out of art school think they need a vast amount of money to be able to produce beautiful pots. But in reality, it's all there for you. You know, you've just got to kind of do a bit of work and graft, and it's possible to produce wonderful works.
Can you remember why you decided that you wanted to be a potter, to work with clay?
I don't have a choice, Mike. It was kind of a direction where you get so passionate in both learning the skill and the firing I have a love-hate relationship with my kiln. My big kiln is fondly called the bitch, and it's called the bitch for a reason. You have to kind of really watch it all the time. One moment, if you leave it and it doesn't get your attention, it will kick you up your bottom. And it's done that many times. It's a very, very demanding kiln. But there's something in me as a person, that's what it is for me. It's a challenge, both in what I make, the materials I use. It's nothing planned, it's just the way it is. And I was looking for a workshop. I had absolutely no plans on starting up a pottery. And I was driving across Dartmoor and saw this group of buildings right in the middle of Dartmoor called powder mills. And I found out about it, and it belonged to the duchy. And before I knew it, I'd got a workshop and a cottage in the middle of Dartmoor.
When did you go to your current place? Because you've been there quite a long time now, haven't you?
Yeah, in 2000 I moved there. And then my girlfriend at the time, the idea was that she would keep her horse downstairs and I would have a workshop upstairs. It was a derelict barn, no electric, no water, nothing. And then she went off with a rock star and left me with a derelict barn and 3 dogs in a rat-infested barn and nowhere to live. And I'd visited potters in Australia and worked out, you know, they were living out in the bush and built showers and things. So I was able to collect rainwater and live off the radar for a short while. And it was the best time of my life. I loved it. But you can only do that for a short while in this country. And eventually I was reported for not having planning permission to live there. The one who reported me actually was doing some work for me. I paid him. Yeah. But I think certainly when you have, I don't know how else to explain it other than a passion. I know what I want and I know what I want to make. And sometimes it's been regarded as slightly irresponsible by some people. Making that big globe, for instance.
Now that was irresponsible.
When I delivered the pots up here, I said, "Have you got a tape measure, please?" Oh dear. The inspiration for the big globe came from making mugs. Wood firing can look seconds, you know, we've got dribbly glazes and there's scars and what have you, and often people think of them as seconds. But if you make a mug, and that's the first thing in the morning, you have your cup of tea or coffee, and you're just waking up and this thing's nice and warm in your hand, and you're turning it round and you discover things. And mugs are a wonderful introduction to wood firing. And I still look at my mug in the morning, it's a comfort. And I kind of got the idea of the globe turning, and so you can discover what goes on around the pot.
When we unpacked this lot, I just thought it's an extraordinary exhibition you've given us. Absolutely fantastic pots.
Well, these are over 4 years' work. And of course, you don't see the ones that don't make it, because I have the best drainage ditch in Devon. You know, without my firing crew, it would be impossible to do. And at the moment, I've got them trained just right. So they've got to stay around for a while.
What you give us enhances our lives in so many different ways, so very special, and I thank you for that.